Hey, what's up, guys? If you've been following me for a while, you know I'm a huge fan and supporter of Firecracker Farm. Alex, the owner, is not only an incredible human being, but he makes an incredible product. And that is why we could not be happier that they are sponsoring the Shoot Me Straight podcast. Each guest, when they come in, will get a sample of Firecracker Farm so they can take it back and enjoy. And I can tell you, to each person that we've given it to, they have not been disappointed. You can put these, put this salt on your favorite food, favorite beverage. I've even seen people put it in their coffee. They love it. There's an assortment of heat, so if you don't like it too hot, they definitely have that taken care of with some mild flavors. And then it goes all the way to extreme heat if you like to sweat. So if you guys are interested in purchasing some, go to firecracker.farm. All right, thank you for listening, and God bless. Welcome back to Shoot Me Straight. Today we have a special episode. It'll be, instead of Dave here, I got my lovely wife Andrea's with me, and we have Barbra and Drew Oldrati. Did I say that name right?
Oldrati.
Oldrati. There we go. Got that correct. Who are the parents of Sal Oldrati, and that is someone that we are supporting right now through the Pipe Hitter Foundation, and we are glad that you two made the time to come down here and come on the podcast and tell the story of what's going on with your son and why you chose to pick up the torch and start speaking out for him, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we appreciate you having us. And it's actually been a year since we first started on this journey of speaking up for him for being wrongfully indicted for a justified shooting. So I'll take you back to September of 2021. He was involved in an incident where him and his corporal and other officers were called out through a 911 call about a burglary in progress with an armed suspect. That's all the officers knew. There's no mobile data terminals in their vehicles, no CAD system. So all they know is they are pulling up to a scene where there's a suspect with an active burglary with a weapon, according to the 911 caller. So when the first corporal arrives on the scene, Corporal Robert Layton, he pulls up and he encounters a male at the curb in the dark. It's like 1:30 a.m. in the morning, and he rolls down his window to speak to the gentleman, and the gentleman points a gun right at him. Through the window, and you hear on the open 911 call, the corporal says, "Drop your weapon, drop your gun." And the corporal speeds up to get out of harm's way because he cannot get to his weapon. He's just had this encounter with a man not expecting a weapon to be pointed in his face. Yeah. And he moves up a couple of houses. At that time, my son is coming behind him, sees the gentleman extend his arm, but doesn't see the weapon at that moment. He continues to follow his corporal, thinking, they're going after the bad guys, whatever way they are going. The corporal stops his car. Salvatore stops his car. The corporal gets out, and he's yelling, "He's got a gun, he's got a gun, he's got a gun." Salvatore, you can hear him on his body cam footage say, "Where? Who? Who's got the gun?" He says, "Right there, right there." And you'll see my son come up in front of his car, see the man, see the weapon, duck back, and then engages the man because the weapon is now pointed at my son. He engages him. The suspect goes down, but is still actively reaching for the weapon. Salvatore then says to him, "Stop reaching, stop reaching." Once he assesses the situation and sees the gun is no longer in the gentleman's hands, him and Corporal Layton proceed as well as other officers and sergeants arriving on the scene. They're going up to him, but Salvatore warns them. He says, he has a gun. It's right there. So, be careful. He's still pick up that gun because we know
100%.
Still a threat.
Right. And as you know from military training, you're taught to shoot all different. Prone, you're taught to shoot many different ways.
Right.
As officers are. Once they see that the gun is out of his hands, Salvatore then begins life-saving procedures on the gentleman. Chest seals, CPR. It's still an active scene because the call comes in as 2 or 3 suspects breaking into the man's shed and breaking into his car. So they are still trying to secure the area. So they go into the house, they're checking the yard, and Salvatore is there continuing life-saving techniques on this gentleman until the EMTs arrive. They do cut the body cam footage, obviously for the public, but for what we have, you continue to see Salvatore saying, stay with me, hang on, and you see him then helping the EMT, the paramedics, once they come. So they search the scene. They don't find any suspects. They don't find anyone breaking into the shed. The shed is bolted and padlocked. No one broke into the car. The car is locked and it's secure. They find out once they're there that the gentleman that's down is also the homeowner, who came outside and pointed a weapon after making, we now know was not a true 911 call.
Wow.
So, of course, we get the call about 1:30 in the morning. My phone goes off, and I hear it, but I don't know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
I get up, and I see there's a missed call, and I recognize the name. And I said, hurry up, get up. Somebody's trying to call me. I know this name. And they called me right back. And they said, Mrs. Oldrati, this is so-and-so from Mantua Township Police Department. Your son was involved in a shooting.
Oh, my.
And the first thing I said was, oh, my God, is he dead? That was the first thing I thought of. Is he dead? At this point, he's now up, and we're getting dressed. And he says, no, he's not dead, but he was involved in a shooting. I need you to make your way up to the hospital. And I just remember saying to him, like, are they just saying this to get us to the hospital? Thinking that, he died there. You don't know. All these things are going through your head because
it's your worst nightmare as a parent.
Right. I can't call him because, he doesn't have his phone. And he's now getting phone calls. And I'm calling my brother because my brother is at the time he was he?
He's a detective.
He was a detective.
I don't know if he's still assigned to the marshals.
I don't know if he was with the marshals or not, but I'm calling him. We're just trying to find out as much information as possible.
Yeah.
As we make our way, to the hospital.
Is that protocol? So if an officer gets in a shooting, and I don't know if Sal didn't get shot or anything,
No,
correct?
no.
But is that protocol for them to call the parents of being like, hey, there was a shooting? Because that seems a little odd to me.
So I know if something did happen, they would send, obviously, a police vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
But we are in Philadelphia, and they are in New Jersey, right over the bridge.
So I know in police shootings, they notify next of kin.
Right.
But that's if the person has been shot or is that just in shooting?
Yeah, they
in general?
just do it like if Sal was married at the time.
Gotcha.
They would have notified his wife.
Right.
Because the last thing you want to see is a Mantua Township police officer involved in a shooting. You're like, oh, my God, who is that my husband?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to find that news out if it was something drastic
Yeah.
from the news of all people.
Yeah.
So they try to buffer it and contact.
Got it. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
He was actually, before he became a Mantua police officer, he actually was a Camden, New Jersey police officer at the age of 19. He was always interested in policing.
Wow.
At the age of 14, he was in the Philadelphia Police Explorers. So he trained, he did scenario training, he did, everything that they would do in the academy. So he did that for 4 years and then moved to New Jersey with my mother because I said, if you're going to be a police officer, don't be in Philadelphia where we live, where you don't make a lot of money and it's dangerous. Go somewhere, where you're going to make some good money and a little safer.
Right.
But he didn't want to wait for the original route to take, so he went with the Camden Police Department. So he was 18 years old.
Wow.
He also became a special law enforcement officer for Gloucester Township, Special 1, they're called. So he was able to patrol. They didn't have a weapon at the time. So he was always very active,
Yeah, it sounds
training
like it.
and doing everything he could to
Incredible.
better himself. And when he was in Camden, him and his partner, Pat was actually involved in a shooting as Salvatore was on his way to the scene. And Pat was actually shot in the leg,
Wow.
just missing, major, like
The femoral artery.
But it
Wow.
nicked it. So Salvatore got there, got the tourniquet on him, And they said that if he didn't do that, that Pat would have bled
Oh,
out.
100%.
So at 19 years old, he's already been in this high.
Yeah, he's getting real
Right,
world
he's getting
experience.
real experience.
Yeah.
And that was another phone call that we got from a friend who was listening to a scanner and said, you need to, there's been a shooting. It's either Pat or Sal. I can't get either one of them on the phone. And, hurry up, get dressed. I'm yelling to my other kids, open the front door, thinking somebody would, if something happened, somebody would come and get me. But then, SWAT started calling him. There was a Camden officer shot. I'm calling my brother. My brother's calling other captains to find out who it was. And it was like a good 10 minutes of chaos before we found out. So, and being married to an officer, you
That's what I was gonna
always
say,
know.
yeah.
And same thing being in the military, you're always on that lookout for that phone call that you hope you
Well,
don't
yeah,
get.
it's a possibility. So it's
Yeah. So tell us more about your background, because obviously Sal followed maybe in the footsteps of
He did.
service because of you.
Yeah, my brother-in-law Johnny, he's also a police officer.
Okay.
But I'm a Philadelphia police officer. I have 36 years on the job. The last 27 with the SWAT team. And front row seats are the greatest show on earth. So it's busy. We're busy. And Sal, from day one, he picked that up. He loved it.
Wow.
Drive around, come up, drive around the police car, come up, check out all our equipment. He was just fascinated by it. And so at a young age, he was like, shoot. Like, we taught him shooting at a young age. Top shape. He was in incredible shape. And for even a young guy. And he loved it, absolutely loved it. And this is his passion, police work. This is all he wanted to do. This is what he trained for. He studied. And at a young age, he was able to achieve these goals he wanted.
Right.
So at a young age, he was on Camden. And then from Camden, he went to Mantua, which was better pay. And here we are.
Wow. How many years into the career then was this incident?
I think it was 6 or 7 years he was a police officer.
And so he was how old?
He was 24 at the shooting.
Okay.
At the time of the shooting.
So he's still a young man, and his life is now just literally in jeopardy.
Because of this situation. And it's, as we go on to tell the story, we find out that this is a very politically motivated indictment.
Of course.
Once they did the investigation of the shooting after that night, and we got him home from the hospital, of course, he had to go through all the rigmarole of going to the doctor, requalifying for shooting, and they had to do the investigation. So the Attorney General of New Jersey has a separate entity that investigates police shooting. It's their state police shooting response team.
Right.
To take it out of the hands of the local departments for transparency. It's supposed to be for transparency so that nobody's covering up for anyone. So they do the investigation, and within 2 weeks, he sits down with a representative from, she's a liaison from the Attorney General's office and prosecutor's office, and goes over all the findings with everyone that was involved in the shooting, the chief. And she says, while this obviously, is it a perfect shoot? It's somebody lost their life. There's no such thing as a pretty shoot. Like I say, there's no such thing as pretty use of deadly force. Deadly force is deadly force.
Yes.
You're presented
somebody's
with a
life
weapon.
is being taken.
Right.
Yeah.
But she says, there's nothing criminal here. He didn't violate the New Jersey state law, which says in a deadly force situation, you don't have to wait to be fired upon before you fire.
Right.
State law. He didn't violate the standard operating procedures. He was within his guidelines, the use of force for the state and the department. So while it's tragic, there's nothing criminal here.
Right.
And then as the investigation continued, we learned a little bit more about the suspect, the homeowner, who was, a military veteran who had a lot of PTSD. He suffered from years of depression and alcohol abuse, and recently was doing drugs, suffered from depression, just having, decades of a rough life.
Issues.
And we know this because the his ex-wife, who they had an amicable relationship, and she says that, asks to speak to a detective. from the Attorney General's office. So she's recorded on a line, and she speaks to the detective, and she says, she's like, we're divorced, but we have a good relationship. She said, but I know he did this. She said, she goes on to talk about how he's all his bouts in and out of rehabs, suffering years of depression, DUIs. He couldn't even drive his vehicle because he had to blow into a breathalyzer for it to even start. She says she has a diary, a book, a journal of all the accounts, all the times he tried to take his life, the times he's been, too many times to count, she says. Wow. So once they do the investigation and they look at policy and procedure, because, we're here obviously defending our son, but we're not here defending him on opinions. We're here defending him on facts of the rules that law enforcement officers and military, they have a separate set of rules than the average citizen.
Which he fully abided by.
Right.
And
Fully
proved that.
abided by it. Fully abided by it. He wasn't disciplined, not even administratively, because he didn't violate anything administratively.
Right.
And once they do the two parts of the investigation, they realize that this man was suicidal. The gun is a replica .45 that his grandfather willed to him, that he speaks of in the 911 call. He says, they're breaking into my truck, they're breaking into my shed. I have something here that my grandfather willed to me. I don't know how legal it is. I don't know what I can do with it. And I'm thinking, you're military. You know what you can do with a gun.
Wow.
So
his state of mind was
he was acting very erratically. He was went to the neighbor's house across the street, showed him the weapon. He said, they're breaking in. I'm going to put a mother effer down tonight.
Oh, my.
He was throwing off quarter sticks of dynamite. The neighbors thought that they were gunshots. In fact, this young neighbor got so nervous, he took his family into the basement because he was afraid that these were gunshots. He saw the weapon. So the Attorney General has all this information, which is why he was never put on the shelf. He was put back to work very quickly after this incident.
Yes. Because it was so clean.
Because it was justified.
And so obvious that, so was the end finding, was he trying to have like a suicide by cop, or what was it?
Suicide by
Okay.
place.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Okay.
No one rational is going to come outside with a replica and point it at the police.
100%.
No one's going to do that who's rational.
Right.
This guy had countless suicide attempts. His ex-wife said it. The neighbors say it. The friends, everyone.
Even the sister.
Everyone goes along with it. But that's what it was.
Yeah, because it sounds like, this is just from an outsider perspective looking in with all these facts. Like, if he had done countless attempts of suicide himself but could never properly do it, he probably was like, you know what, I'm just going to have the cops do it. And I'll call and point the gun at him and let him finish me off.
It's kind of like textbook. This is why our law enforcement is there. He is endangering himself. He's endangering others, throwing sticks of dynamite, and then they come onto the scene. Unfortunate as it may be,
it's tragic.
This is why our police officers are here.
Right.
Is to take that action and to use lethal force when necessary, because his intention was someone was going to die that night.
I actually have a old teammate when I was in the Marines with in Jersey that he killed himself. I don't even know, like 15 years ago, doing the same thing, suicide by cop.
Mm-hmm. It's very common. The statistics for mentally ill or people who suffer from PTSD and drug, it's, he's tried to do it so many times on his own, whether it was for attention seeking or he was hoping it was going to happen. But that night, unbeknownst to my son, the cops didn't know this. They know they're going to a high priority call, burglary in progress, with an armed suspect. When they pull up and the gun's being pointed at them, they have to stop the threat. And that's what my son did. How many officers maybe hesitated or didn't do that and they lost their lives or they were injured? That's their job.
Yeah.
That's what
and
they're
those
trained.
decisions need to be made on a dime to do.
Milliseconds, you're making decisions.
Right.
Yeah.
And, not looking at, when the Attorney General put out the statement when they did indict him,
almost 2 years later.
Yeah, 20
If they
months.
send him
How
back to
did
work.
that happen?
Yeah.
Can you walk us through how in the world does this get settled? He goes back to work, and then how does it come up again?
So under the previous AG, Gruel, he didn't find anything wrong with the shooting. The shooting was clean. He was cleared, goes back to work. He's back to work for almost 2 years. While he's back to work, he makes Officer of the Year again for a second time, and he gets promoted to Corporal. So his career's taken off.
Yeah, he's a
got
rock star.
plans, the whole bit. He goes to training, everything. And then my brother-in-law, who's a detective, he calls me up. He says, yo, bro, he's like, they just indicted Sal. I was like, they indicted him for what? Doing his job? They indicted him for what? He said, frivolous charge, reckless manslaughter.
One
I said,
count.
reckless manslaughter on a guy pointing a gun at you on a
And so
justified
you knew it had to
shooting?
do with that incident.
Well, we have a new AG now who
Okay.
did this. The old AG, nothing. The new AG, Matt Plackton, he comes in, and he's all about defund the police.
Of course.
You know, he's all about, weaponizing the government. And this is what he does.
Wants
He
to make
hates
a
he
name
hates the
for
police.
himself.
He hates anything to do with the government, like military, police, anything that keeps us safe. He wants the opposite. Because he has an ulterior motive. His ulterior motive is he wants to be governor of New Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So he's got to prove to all these people. So my brother-in-law calls me, says I was indicted. We have 2 hours to get him to the lawyer. He said he's going to go to Camden County Jail. I said, oh, really?
Wow.
I call her. I said, just relax the best you can. Come home. Just, say I got indicted. We're going to go over to his girlfriend's house, his in-laws at the time, but he
Fiancé at
wasn't
the time.
married yet. And when we go there, all his guys are, all the police are there supporting him. Everyone. No one could believe this happened. The mayor couldn't, city council couldn't, none of the police, no one. And they all stand by him. They're like, this is all BS. How'd this happen? So from there, we go to the attorney. The attorney's like, this is all new to me, but, just sit back. And
I was like a lunatic. I'm like, this is what concerned
so
me. It's
wrong.
This is political. Because, so all police shootings, they have back under Gruel, he started a department or a division under the Attorney General called the OPIA.
Okay.
The Office of Public Integrity and Accountability. And it was started to investigate police shootings, again, to keep everything looking up and up.
they took it out of the local prosecutor's hands,
Okay.
and they put it in the AG. He wants to investigate all police shootings now. So it used to be in the prosecutor's office. They would investigate it. If it was clean, good shoot, back to work. If it wasn't, they would lock you up.
Yeah.
But he wanted everything. He wanted the whole ball. So he investigated all the police shootings now.
And all police shootings, they don't have to go in front of a grand jury, according to their own policy that they have, if they have enough evidence, and there's not enough evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have to put it in front of the grand jury, which is why for 20 months we knew it was possibly going, but was more for procedural, according to everybody that was talking. The prosecutors, we've had conversations about this. This is not a criminal shooting. This was not, police brutality. This was not neglect. This was a justified police shooting. Tragic, yes, but justified. So for procedurals, it would go in front of a grand jury. And I'm thinking, there's no way once they see all this evidence that they're going to indict him. So we did get word in May of 2023 that this was going in front of the grand jury, but that, basically we had nothing to worry about because once they presented the evidence. But
It's just procedural.
the new Attorney General came in, and of course they presented, it's very low level to indict, which I didn't know. I've learned so much
Oh, yeah.
thinking there's no way people are going to hear
Trial
this
by
story.
fire.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But then when you start learning,
All exculpatory evidence, they don't have to let them know. Anything that's in your favor, they don't have to let them know.
Yep.
And then the narrative they want to turn and twist to fit their narrative.
It's very theatrical.
They're in control of everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
everything.
people don't
Yeah.
understand, the theatrics that go on. And it's winner take all. And it's your life that they're talking about. I mean, we were baffled with the stuff that we got exposed to through him. And it was just like anything that was right was wrong. Anything that was wrong
Right.
was right. I mean, you do feel
Good
like you're
was
taking
bad and
crazy
bad was
pills.
good.
Yeah, and at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
that because it's not about Sal. It's about an agenda.
Making an
And
example out of him.
They don't care about Sal or any other people that they're going after to hang out to dry, because all they care about is getting across whatever agenda they're trying to get across. Like this AG, obviously, who sounds just wackadoo. Like he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and prosecute all these people so I can eventually get to the governor's seat.
Right.
And the way I do it is the way I do it. And it doesn't
And
have
that's
to
what
make
they
sense.
did. Like the evidence, like they would show like a still shot of the body cam footage. As quick as it happened, it takes many pictures. They would show the screen right before the gun was up. See, he wasn't pointing the gun at the officer. But people don't understand. The gun doesn't have to be pointed at the officer. You're in possession of it. You already pointed
But that's
it at one
also
officer.
not true.
Right, and it's not true.
It's a lie.
Because we have the picture of him pointing the gun.
Right, so we've come up with the picture. But even so, like, they come out with saying, oh, no commands were given, no de-escalation. Well, no department do I have to de-escalate or give commands when someone's pointing a gun at me.
Exactly.
You're pointing a gun, whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah.
I shoot you, it's it.
If someone's
that's the
pointing a
end.
gun at you, there's only one way to de-escalate that situation: is put that person down.
Exactly.
And
You
that's
got to
it.
end the threat.
You're not. I'm not having a conversation with
Right.
you while
It's
you
not a
have the
good time to
finger
have
on
a
the trigger.
conversation
No.
at
Yeah.
that point.
De-escalation is out the window.
Yeah.
at
So
that
so
point.
they say that, but here at 911, you hear the corporal say, "Put the gun down." So that refutes what they said, and then the guy wasn't pointing a gun at. Here's this picture. Well, the next millisecond, that picture. Well, here's the real picture with the guy up with the gun.
Right.
Come on. And,
Right.
and he's in control of a gun. I don't need him to point a gun at me to shoot him. You're in control of a firearm. It's easy to go from here to here within milliseconds. Come
Oh,
on.
100%.
So we don't need that. So that's just a play on words. You're playing on words with the public because they don't know any different.
That's right.
You know?
And that is the disadvantage of like a lot of this is trial by media, trial by these people that are honestly, they are so corrupt, and the corruption is leading them to do these horrific acts against, obviously, your family has suffered tremendously.
Right, like you said, trial by media. So to get their cronies in the newspaper, they call them up, hey, run this story. And they put out all this fabricated information.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And then we start calling them. It's like, where'd you get this information? It's wrong. Call us back. We'll have a discussion about it. And one person called back, and they didn't know. He said, oh, this is the press release that the AG released. I said, yeah, well, it's wrong. And he investigated, and he says, no, I apologize. He said, you know what?
He couldn't
You're right.
believe it. See, because what people don't understand, and I see this a lot, and I know Martha had posted a post we put up recently when we talked about Sal, and one of the comments, and we get this a lot, and one of the comments was, not all police officers are good. And it just goes to show, instead of saying, not all police officers are bad, right? That statement is so powerful because you are insinuating that police officers are perfect, that everybody's perfect. There's only one perfect person, right? That's our creator.
Amen.
You could say that all judges aren't good.
You could
All
say
doctors
without
aren't
anyone.
good.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
anything.
Home Depot workers aren't good.
But
when
we
you say
villainized
that,
our police.
We villainized our
villainized
police,
them.
right?
And it's upside down.
And then they'll say, "Oh, go look at the body cam footage. Look at it." I'm like, the body cam footage is 5 seconds. If I took a 5-second clip of you at your worst point in your life, or a point when you had to make a decision, and everybody was to judge you off of that,
And that's what they do.
It's so insane. And then they cut the body cam footage, and it wasn't just 5 seconds he pulled up on the scene. It was like 15 seconds. And that's what you do. You play off the people who don't know the policies, the routine. You're going off of their opinions. We're not speaking opinions. Of course, we love our son and we feel he's innocent, but we also know he's innocent because
the facts.
we got the discovery. So this is the other thing is we have it all, and so does that attorney general.
Yeah.
And when he put this in front of the grand jury, he knew what he was doing. Because if you showed them all the evidence, not just what Sal knew in that time frame, but what led up to this incident. Because you always want to blame the police officer, but what about the actions, the responsibility of the person who's leading up to calling the police out or engaging with the police? You see it all the time, these body cam footages, the officers just pulling up, and these people are combative and going right at it with them, or shooting from them, from a car,
Right.
when you're pulling them over for a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
And you know, I know you're not going to change everybody's opinion. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to get the facts out. And we had to start speaking up because he was indicted in May of 2023. In March of 2024, we get wind that the head of the OPIA, the Office of Public Integrity and Accountability, is retiring and stepping down. But not just because, you know, he was retiring. All these articles start coming out about the corruption, the prosecutorial misconduct, the withholding of exculpatory evidence. Even articles coming up to as soon as last week, just as last week, talking about these senators are now going after the OPIA and holding Matt Plank. They want a mentor to come in to oversee the OPIA because of all these prosecutorial misconducts and all these frivolous indictments that they're making against George Norcross, all these big, powerful people, and the little peons that I would consider my son, you know, just doing his job. And now we're left holding the pieces. And I said to him, I cannot be silent anymore. We do not have an NDA. I'm going to start speaking up. And we started.
So we start releasing everything.
Like a letter campaign, emailing and sending out information packets to senators and legislators.
Yes.
Of course, no one gets back to you. But then we were able to get a break last year. My son said, "Mom, I love this podcast, the Anti-Hero podcast with Tyler.
Brent and Tyler, great.
You know, maybe if we reach, because that's all I would do. I'd come home and send messages through Instagram. Anybody I could try to get a hold of, I did. And they were, I always say, are angels, right? They're the first people that picked us up.
Yeah.
That has led us down this path of speaking the truth. We just want the facts out. I'm not looking for your opinions. I'm not looking, you hate cops. Okay, that's great. You know, hopefully you don't need one.
Yeah. Exactly.
We're here to speak about the facts, and the facts were this was a justified shooting. No policies or procedures were broken. How do you indict? And now we're going down this path, 2.5 years of suspended without pay, no insurance. Well, we had to pay for his insurance. Trying to figure out how do we get him funds, you know, how do we help him, support him mentally, physically? Because now at this point, when he gets indicted in May, he's due to get married in September.
Wow.
So, you know, you try to carry on the best that you can, but you always have that black cloud over your head, like, are they going to take me away from my family? You know,
well, it is,
everything
and
I've
that's what
worked
people
hard for.
don't understand is the, you know, we always call it like, obviously Sal is the target, but the secondary and tertiary effects on the larger family. Right. And obviously now he's got, you know, your family, but he's got in-laws, he's got a wife, he's got a child. It's so tragic that something that should have never gotten to this level has now turned into years upon years of putting the screws to this young man who did nothing wrong. And talk about how much that screws with your head.
Sure.
That's one of the things with him that he just could not believe.
Sure, it's the ultimate betrayal, right?
Yeah.
It's and just, you know, just you talking about Sal, the way he was brought up, and it's like this was his passion. He sounds like he gave everything to this job.
Everything.
And then to have it flipped on him and be like, nope, you were a hero, and now you're the enemy. Yeah. And now we're taking you down. Yeah. What that does to somebody's, like, especially somebody like Sal, who's so invested and is bought in, what that does to somebody's mind is, I don't think people can comprehend that unless you are going through it, to feel that kind of betrayal, and the amount of stress that comes with that, the amount of just like nights I'm sure he's up just, you know,
because it doesn't make sense.
Nobody
it's gnarly.
Nobody, if you haven't been through it, you can say.
You can't relate.
You can say, I do your best to understand, and people really are compassionate, but to know what it's like on a day-to-day basis where it's just, sometimes I look at him and I think, oh my God. Like,
how did we get here?
You know, you always know when you're in a police or military family, you always know the dangers.
Of course.
And they accept it, and Sal always did. And they say, oh, police officers need more training. And some areas they do. But he was the officer who took it upon himself to watch videos, educated himself, went to classes,
go away for
got
training,
certifications.
come back, train the trainer.
There's things he's showing him like that. You don't want to put that on your gun. Like, as a SWAT officer.
Yeah, he's real knowledgeable.
He's so knowledgeable. And that's what he says. He says, this is all I ever wanted to do. From a
and now we've
child.
taken this man out of this position. We've removed him and sidelined him, and now just
And
punishing him until infinity.
Right.
You know,
And
it's just ridiculous.
his thing is, when this is over, because we will get him cleared.
Of
Oh,
course.
yeah.
There's no other option. We will get him. I will speak, and I will go to whoever I have to go to. I mean, I've written letters to the White House, sent receipt return or signature return. I know that's federal, and this is state and local, but it all ties into what they did to President Trump, right? And what they did to you is they have an agenda, and they're going to put the story, and they keep screaming it enough. It's against our democracy or democracy.
Oh, yeah.
He's guilty. He's guilty. Then people who don't have a mind of their own, who just are fed what the TV tells them,
Sheep.
Right.
the sheep.
Yeah,
The
right.
sheep. They
that,
don't.
he
no,
must
no
be
critical
guilty.
thinking.
He must be
Right.
guilty. They indicted him.
Do your own research.
We've learned that indictment means nothing.
Right.
You can indict a ham sandwich.
even
know?
even
What
the
they
sh-
say.
It's true.
Yeah.
even the shooting team, when Platten came in, he wanted to make a name for himself. They said, he brings up this case. He said, "This is justifiable shooting." He says, "Oh, well, we're going to indict him." He said, "You can't indict him. He was cleared. He went back to work. This is justified." He goes, "No, we're going to indict him." He goes, "Why would you do that?" And his response was, Platten's response to that officer was, "Because we can. That's why." And that's and just
And
like that.
that is the level
And
of
that
bravado
is
that
also,
these people
yeah,
have.
What people don't understand either. It's as simple as that, because I get asked, still, well, how could they do that to you? Why did they do that to you? Like, because people just can't comprehend the fact that it's because they have the power to,
Right.
and that's it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about right or wrong. It's like, I can do this, and I'm going to do this to him.
So
Right.
one of the famous quotes from our lawyer, Mark Mukasey, about NCIS and the entire investigation, and especially the lead investigator, was it was just this insane level of ambition and incompetence. And when you have those two things, you can turn someone's life upside down.
And they do it.
And they do it.
more than we even know. Because
Well, and it's sad because within Pipe Hitter, like, we don't represent anyone that is not procedurally following the rules.
Right.
Like, we represent the people that are like Sal, the all-stars, the people that have the stellar records. They were being rewarded, commended all the way through. And then a split second, their life was turned upside down. And that's because that's what happened to us. And I do think it is so hard because from the outside, people are going to hear this and they hear a headline, they hear a little, like basically a clickbait headline,
Yes, clickbait.
and they make a split decision. They say, oh, well, he's a has-been cop. So how do you guys deal with the fact that the truth is he is an all-star in his field? Although he's young, he had been training for this his whole life. So like, how do you guys kind of go through that as a family and deal with that? Because that's some of the stuff that on the back end of the Pipe Hitter Foundation, we are talking to the families all the time. And this is just such a critical time that you guys are really, facing.
Hey, what's up, guys? So when I'm not doing the podcast, I'm doing a lot of traveling. I put on training all over the country for LE and civilians. I also travel a lot for my nonprofit, the Pipe Hitter Foundation. And as you guys know, travel, going back and forth, can wear you down. But this past year, I have found the antidote. So let me put you on to Aquavita, Destin's premier IV therapy and oxygen bar. This place is owned and operated by a board-certified ER physician with over 23 years of experience, so you know your health is in good hands. Every IV drip is mixed to Board of Pharmacy standards and backed by CDC-level infection control. Whether you're dealing with a fatigue, a hangover, jet lag, stress, immunity issues, or even PMS, they've got custom vitamin drips and boosters tailored just for that. When you go inside, the place is pretty awesome. It puts you at ease right when you go in there. They have comfy lounge chairs, which are perfect for singles or couples, full group sessions. And you can even book the whole space for bachelor or bachelorette parties, race day recovery, or wellness events. While you're in there, they go the extra mile too. They'll give you blankets, sleep masks, earplugs, aromatherapy oxygen, all complimentary. And the best part, every visit includes direct care from the physician and experienced RNs, all focused on fast, safe, and affordable wellness. So if you're in the Destin area, hit up Aquavita. Your body will definitely thank you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, him and I talk a lot. There's nights where, even if we have good days, we get in bed and we're just like, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that? I think because and I'm not going to speak for him, I'm going to speak for me. The day they indicted him and I saw my son in an orange jumpsuit, they took my soul. So I have to put all of that out of my mind because I'm focused on a mission to expose these people.
Right.
You know, you can't worry about the comments that you get on
Yeah, you just blow that
Instagram
off.
because
Don't
they
read the
don't
comments.
know. And sometimes I want to go on and say, you know,
Those are just
we have-
trolls.
Yeah.
Of
They're-
course.
right,
so-
and they're following what their beliefs are, and we're not here to talk about beliefs. I think for us, we're so focused on getting out the facts,
Yes.
getting out the facts, and then on top of that, all the corruption that's coming out from that office. It's just like poetic justice that we are being justified, that we're seeing all this
Well, and
happening.
sometimes it's God's timing, and that
And
could take
that's
years.
the other
Yeah.
thing too. It's not
that needed to be exposed.
right.
What do you think about, like, when obviously you have so much history of service too, like this has to be hard. I know it was very hard for his dad because his dad served, his whole family served. He could
can't
not wrap
imagine
his
that they
brain
do
around
this,
it.
right?
It was
Yeah, they couldn't
so
wrap their mind
hard
around
for
it.
his
same,
family.
Yeah, same here. Like I'm 36 years in. I come from a law enforcement family or a military family, you know, and to see that, you're like, this is bullshit. This is, you know, you're doing your job. You're charged with an overcharge, reckless manslaughter. You know, he did everything he's supposed to do. He did the job. You know, he handled his business.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, you're going to arrest him for what? You have nothing. You can't prove recklessness.
No.
You can't prove anything. You know, this is all smoke and mirrors.
Yes.
This is all this is for your agenda, which you failed. You know, you're not running for governor no more.
Right.
You know, you did the wrong thing, and you know, by your own doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And he
same
even-
thing. I'll be like his dad. Like, you can't wrap your head around it.
No.
Why did this happen? How did this happen?
Yes.
You know, because people are weak. That's why.
That's
We're standing up, but all these other people who are in a position to stand up don't. They take a back seat.
because
It's
they're all
so
they're all
true.
embedded. Like the corruption runs so deep. So this attorney general, he took a leave of absence to work with Cory Booker to help indict Trump. So he's on X,
Yeah.
and if he, you know, X is like the platform that everybody posts, you know,
Yeah.
all in the politics, and he posts every single day. And then all I do is I click on it and read the comments. There's not one positive comments. They call him names. They call him traitor. Like, the people of New Jersey, for the most part, know what he is.
Right.
And this is why, again, even though Alina Habba and Pam Bondi and President Trump and Kash Patel, I know they're all federal and this is state, but we want to get to them. We want them to hear our story. We want them to hear our message, and we want them to know that they're doing this to you big people, but they're also doing it to us little people
Oh, yeah.
who don't have the means, the money, and the finance
Right.
to fight these giants. I have the will and the determination,
Of course.
and I have the anger to
Yeah.
do it, but I need people like, thankfully, you, who back us, that
Greatly
can help
appreciate
us,
it.
you know, financially with him, because that's the other aspect we're dealing with: emotional, financial. Like, we, you know, on this beautiful island, and I'm like, this place is gorgeous, and I just said, I can't wait until I can come and actually
Relax.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I'm relaxing, but
you're in the
it's
fight. though,
always
still,
over
so-
my
yeah,
head.
yeah.
It's always over my head, and I always have to make sure his mental state is strong, because he has to be strong for his family. But there's
Right.
days where I say to him, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. Who else can we contact? Who else can we call? Because these people are so embedded in the corruption, and it runs big.
So deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Wide
runs
and deep.
big. You would think a little officer from Mantua Township, how is that corrupt? But when you see the players involved and who the players, you know, follow the money, who the players are getting paid by, it does involve the president and the DOJ, because they're all fighting the same kind of corruption.
Yeah.
And we just
It's
are looking
insidious.
for help. You know, who can help
Yeah.
us get to that next level and that next person, and who else can we talk to? Who else can we speak to? Where can we go? What can we do?
Right.
We're always thinking of that. I'm calling him at work. You know, what do you think of this? He's calling me. What do you think of that?
Oh, well, when we saw you guys on the
Yeah.
Anti-Hero podcast,
We're
and
like, that's the type of individuals that we want, like, to support, because
fighters,
because you can, I mean,
you can just get complacent after years.
well,
No,
yeah,
People
and
give
like
up.
We're not
this
doing
stuff
that.
happens,
Whoa.
right? Like, Sal's not the first person that this has
Nope.
happened to, or the first cop that's been, been wronged, but the truth of the matter is like, these things happen, and you can either fall victim to your circumstances or you can master them. But with Sal, and unfortunately the way the system has worked, he doesn't have the ability to
He's not
stand
able
up
to
and
do
master
that.
his circumstances, and they do that on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, no, we're doing this to you, and you're going to take it. Oh, we know, like you said, we're withholding evidence that proves your innocence, but you can't say anything about it.
Right.
Just let the system play out, and it takes individuals like you
Right.
and you to stand up and start fighting back. And unfortunately, I think the human, or like most people, will just fall into that realm of, all right, well, we'll just wait and let the system work out, even though they can see in front of their eyes like they're getting screwed. It's because they don't have the backbone or the wherewithal to stand up and be like, oh no, I'm going to be heard, I'm going to let my voice be heard, or they think it's not going to make a difference. But it does.
And
I mean,
that's so true.
and you
'cause
guys
it
are
does.
making a difference, and I know, like, where you're at right now, you're like, what else can we do? What else can we do? Stuff will happen, but it's just, you have to stay consistent with it.
Right.
The only reason I'm sitting here in this chair talking to you is because she did the same thing. She would not stop. And I mean, eventually she did get the presidency here, but that was from days and days and
And-
days
and
and
that's
months
my
of
goal,
like
right.
fighting. Yeah.
And that was the one thing on the Anti-Hero when, speaking with them on and off camera. And that's the first person they said, you remind us of Andrea Gallagher. And I said, well, that's fine. She, my Italian blood, and I'm going to keep going forward. The first night that we went to the lawyer, I knew this was political. And I said to the lawyer, how are we going to beat the corruption? And he said, Barbara, we have a whole process to go through. He said, but you have to let it play out. And I said, absolutely not.
We're not doing that.
And, him and we love our lawyer, and him and I would have battles, like very, because he would say, take off your tinfoil hat. And I'd say, I'm keeping my tinfoil hat on. And, we would joke around, like, let me tell you something. When he would tell me had this and that, I would say, my son, you need to clear my son. And he says, don't worry, your face is the first face I see every morning. He said, I feel for Sal. I know what he's going to do. We're going to get him cleared. I said, my face better be the last face you see at night too. Because if something happens to my son because of this corrupt system, not because he violated anything, right? Not because he broke the laws, whether people's opinions or not.
Yeah.
His job is his job. They have a set of rules they have to operate in.
Right.
They don't have the same rules that you or I have in our job. Military has the separate rules they have to follow within. If you fall within that guideline,
That's right.
You're doing this to him. I am coming for whoever is going to tell me
Right.
that we can't do this or we can't do that. I don't accept that.
Well, and
I
you
don't
guys
accept
have
it.
been perpetuating the truth, and what we would always say, the truth will eventually set us free.
Right.
In his case, we face the same thing: horrific, malicious, absolutely the bottom of the barrel, clickbaity. And again,
Yeah.
so many people clung on and were using him as like a political football during that time. And that is the thing we had to just keep telling ourselves was like, we have the truth on our side. We don't know how this happened. We still can't explain. And that's what people want a direct answer. Like, well, how could this happen to you? How could this happen to him? And I would tell people it's a million little points of light that collided to create this. And God chose to allow us as a couple, and obviously our families too, through this experience. And ultimately, what I thought from the beginning was, this is happening for a purpose. And I very much remember hearing God say, this is bigger than you.
I
And
tell
that's-
Salvatore that
I hope
too.
what you guys
Yeah.
understand. Yes, you're fighting for Sal, but like in our case, we were telling ourselves, we're like, okay, we have so many friends still in the SEAL teams, his brothers, my sisters. And we were like, if this can happen to you, to him. And again, he was an all-star. He had everything you could think of, like, you know, Sailor of the Year, all these things. You know, number one chief, he had been put and escalated into, like, he was going to train all the West Coast SEALs to go out into the theater. Stripped from that, put on the sidelines, shunned, and everyone's like, well, we're cheering from the sidelines and, you know, hope it works out. But then years go by. You know what I mean? And people get tired. And it's like, at the end of the day, you guys are fighting and standing on truth. But like, and I know you are angry, but what I see in you guys is the absolute love
Right.
that
Well, I took
you
that anger.
have for your son.
Oh, yeah.
And love is what, and the love and the truth, I think, is, again, in his case, what guided us through in our faith, because it doesn't make sense.
And you can't,
we're in it
you
for
can
the
sit
big
and
fight.
rationalize it.
I'll go to the other side of the earth, you know, until we get justice for this.
But
Yes.
I've taken the anger, right? First I was like just devastated, just, you know, sobbed for a good week.
Of
and
course.
then that it turned into the anger. And that anger that I have taken is what moves me forward. It's my drive
That's right.
every day to get up and speak the truth.
Yeah.
It's my drive to call these people out. Because, you know, you see these things in movies, you know, when you're in the movie, like, wow, that's crazy. How could that oh, it's a movie. But they're
it's the,
showing
it's the
you.
hero's journey.
They're showing you exactly what they can do and how they can.
Yes.
You people think, oh, that's you only see that movie. No, they will do that to you in your real life. They will take and turn your whole world upside down and make you look guilty because they can. And people think, oh, it's how is that possible? That doesn't really happen. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Those
All the
movies are
time.
showing you what they can do.
Yeah.
They're putting it right in your face.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They're putting it right in your face. So that's what keeps me going, because I have to keep speaking up, because like we
Right.
say it all the time. Today it's our son.
That
And
is so
tomorrow
true.
it's your son or daughter. And when this journey comes to an end for us and we get him cleared, and I tell Salvatore all the time, you know, Mom, what am I going to do? There's so many opportunities that are going to open up for you to provide for your family.
Yes.
But we're not going to worry about that right now.
Right.
We're going to focus on your mental health, your finances, getting you through, and helping you live each day.
Yeah.
And then we'll deal with what's going to come to, because this is our
Well, and you have to
journey
keep
to help
fighting.
other people
Right.
and to keep fighting into, I don't know, speak to other places like the PBA.
Yes.
Right. So one of the things that I do, because people always tell me that, what's that going to do? That's not going to do anything. I don't accept that.
Yeah.
I'm going to try.
Every seed that you plant,
Right.
and again, my point before was, it's a precedent. And if you guys stop fighting, and if the person next to you stops fighting, the corruption can continue. And so it has been an insidious infection of some of this corruption in both our military ranks and our law enforcement ranks. Those are our protectors.
Right.
We have got to keep fighting the good fight. And so, I mean, I commend you guys, because it isn't easy, and it is
No.
long, and it is very painstaking on everybody.
Right. And like I said, when they tell me, oh, you can't or don't do this, I always say, I'm going to do what I can. And if somebody gets back to me or if they don't,
100%.
like the PBA is covering him, obviously, legally. But there's, that thin blue line. It is very thin. And, I'll be the bad
Yeah.
person. I called up the state head of the PBA, who did come to Salvatore's motion to dismiss back in 2023 in December, where we weren't allowed to present all the information that the judge would have thrown this out, or it would have been, dropped, because nobody wants to throw this out. They what judge, you're going to throw out a police officer shooting? See, the judge is involved. So they have their looks of what they want it to look like. And, he did come to Salvatore's dismissal. Like, nobody can believe we're still here. But here it is 2.5 years later. Like, he needs those people. He needs his PBA. He needs his police family.
And
which
talk
he's not
about
allowed to
that,
be
because
back.
people might not know that acronym.
The PBA,
Yeah.
which stands for the, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now.
It's the Police
It's the
Benevolent
police- the police-
Association.
yes,
right?
the Police Benevolent Association. I'm thinking of the FOP, because in Philly, he has the Fraternal Order
Okay.
of Police. So they do have that in Jersey.
Okay.
But it's under a big umbrella, right? So there's the head, and then there's all the local chapters.
Okay.
But the thing is, when something like this happens, in my opinion, all the police benevolent associations should know of what's happening to an officer in their state. Number one, so that they're aware and they don't fall into the same trap.
Right.
But two, you need those people to support each other. They are your support.
Right.
And I reached out to him, I guess, earlier this summer, just wanted to touch base with him. And he said, I don't know if you remember me, but I was at Salvatore's motion to dismiss. And I said, honestly, I was so upset that day because we went in with 8 points that we were going to argue. No prima facie, right? There was no merit to this case.
Committed.
No crime committed here.
Right.
How are we here?
No policies or procedure.
We were told we were not allowed to speak of them. These were the 3 things we were allowed to argue. I'm like, but these are the 3 things. These 3 things aren't going to get this case dismissed.
Wow.
I didn't want to hear that this is just, it's standard, it's procedure. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I'm not accepting that.
Yeah.
And I just reached out to him, and I wanted to let him know that, you know, we need to do better for our police officers.
100%.
And he agreed. His name's Peter Andravi. And we've had good conversations. And I spoke with him about, you know, with the pipe hitters now, like I have to go out to look for strangers to help support Salvatore instead of the people that are supposed to be protecting them.
Right.
And it's the same thing with all these unions. If you're a union or you have, you need to protect your people. This is not just political and just showing face. What are you doing for these officers? And not just my son. There's other officers in the state who are being prosecuted by Plankton for these frivolous indictments. This isn't just the only one, but this is the most serious one. My son's facing 10 years in jail. We're going to stand up for him for that.
Yeah.
And I had some good conversations with him, and he really vowed to make some changes, and he reached out about, you know, speaking with you and about so what can we do to elevate this to the next level, to bring awareness
100%.
And we have to hold these people accountable.
Well, and sometimes you guys are the ones that are blazing the trail for the families that will come behind you.
Yeah, you are. And that's, I mean, what I've seen in the past, you know, with the people that, especially with the law enforcement, people that we represented and helped out, is the leadership's not going to do the right thing most of the time because they're scared for their own careers. They're like, they're not going to stand up. And then even the people below him, like a lot of Sal's peers, they might be like, hey, dude, we're with you. But at the same time, there's really not much that they can do either, right? Yeah. Because they got to protect their wife,
their family,
their kids, and everything. And I don't, you know, I remember when we went through ours, it is disheartening because you're like, why aren't you guys speaking up? But then after, you know, I had some time to process it, I'm like, oh, no wonder. You know, I probably wouldn't either. Like if I had to protect my wife and kids, and if I spoke up and they would now we're taking everything from you, because what it is, that's what happens a lot of the time. But what I see, and I think it's like a huge problem in our law enforcement community and our military as well, is we have this weak leadership that refuses to stand up and, like you said, do the right thing and take care of the people below them. It's like that is why you are in that leadership position, is not to condemn and be like, yep, here you go. It's like, yeah, maybe you do have somebody that did something wrong, but at the same time, that's one of your guys. So either he might have done something wrong, but you should take care of him to your best of your ability, and then he's going to get what he's going to get, no matter what. But I don't see that happening. I barely see that happening. And I remember I listened to your Anti-Hero podcast, and the one cool thing that I think you talked about is with the day he was like, they were like, hey, you're going to prison. Like they're going, and none of his peers were like, we're not doing it.
We're not
like,
walking him in.
We're not walking him in. And
So,
that to me was, I was like, that's awesome. You know,
that was the shooting team, the AG shooting team, the New Jersey State Trooper shooting team. They knew the AG was wrong. They said, you can't indict him. He was cleared. He went back to work. And he said, I'm doing it because I can.
Wow.
And when they took him to prison, they refused. The people who investigate the shooting said, we're not taking in. You got a roll deal here. You shouldn't be here.
They refused to walk.
They refused to walk him in. They said, nah, it's a roll deal. And so other people who weren't on his case, they walked him in. But once he got in there, they slapped like 60 tainers on him because they didn't want to let him out. They wanted to keep him in jail because in New Jersey, it's either in jail or out. There's no bail. So they wanted to keep him in there, and they keep you in there for 180 days. And then they would have to have a trial. But they would never be ready for trial. So it would be right after Christmas, and they would say, hey, you know what? We kept him in here for 6 months. we're going to withdraw prosecution now, but we screwed you for 6 months. That's all we're going to get at is because this is a nothing case. We know this case probably going to get thrown out or withdrawn. And that was that. So we had whatever, our attorney, whoever worked on it. As far as he knew, when he went in front of the judge, he's in his orange jumpsuit. They killed us. He thought he was staying in jail. And whatever happened,
Miracle. A miracle.
Miracle happens, and he gets out that night.
Really?
That day, later that day.
Yeah. So we had a tournament. It was like 5 o'clock. It was like a Tuesday. We had turned him in, and then the next day, I spoke with the lawyer. The lawyer said, "Listen, Barbara, this is all proceed. Like I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen.
Right.
They're going to do their best to keep him in until Friday. I'm going to get him out. Friday, he's going to get out." And I said to the lawyer, like, "My God, it's Wednesday. He's got to stay in jail for all these days. Like I couldn't figure out how I was going to get to the next minute, let alone him." And I just remember just walking around the house thinking, "Oh my God, please, I need a miracle. I need a miracle." And then the phone rang and it was the lawyer. And the lawyer said to me, he's like, he said, I'm going to get him out. I'm going to get him out Friday. He said, "But, we're going to work on it." And then he called me back a few minutes later and he said, "Get on. We're getting ready to get on with the judge." He said, "I'm getting him out today." I'm like, "What?" He said, "I'm getting him out today." And I'm sobbing. I have him like, "Get on, hurry up, get on." And like I said, Salvatore doesn't know. And the judge,
he doesn't know he's getting out. He thinks he's in there for the long haul.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just our lawyer and the prosecution on the call, the Zoom call. And the judge says, "Well, where's Mr. Oldrati?" He says, "Oh, well, he's in his cell." And he says, he doesn't know he's getting out. He doesn't know you came to this agreement. He said, "Well, we're going to, he's got to turn in his guns and he has to turn in his passport." He said, "Stop. Go get Mr. Oldrati out of his cell."
Wow.
And I guess the court reporter or secretary said, "Okay, we'll move on to the next case." And the judge says, "Absolutely not. We're staying right here.
Wow.
This is wrong what you're doing. Go get him." And we
Nice.
sat, and he brought him in. And the look on my son's face when he found out that, he was coming home.
Oh, wow.
Just,
Yeah, he was
and
filled with
those are the
emotions.
moments, right? Those are the moments. I don't try to focus on them, but they're the moments that pop into my head that keep pushing me forward.
100%.
Because I get, we get tired. We're tired. We have to work. We
It's
have
exhausting.
responsibilities. It's exhausting, as you know. But they're the moments that keep me in the fight. And now I look at those moments and I'm able not to break down, but to go forward and say, "Let's go. What's next?
Yes.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
I'll take them on by myself with one hand behind my back if I have to. I will travel
That's
wherever I
right.
have to go to speak the truth, because that's what it is. It's the truth. This is the truth. These are facts, not opinions. And this is what we're going to continue to do. And that's what keeps us, moving forward.
And like you said, they break it down. So he has stipulations. Turning your guns. Okay, no big deal. You can't talk to anybody from the police family. So his main
my
support, they
gosh.
take away from him, other than us. You can't leave the state. Turning your passports. All these things. Said, you don't do this for criminals.
Yeah.
You do it for a police officer? You're out of your mind.
Well, they
know?
did the same thing to Eddie. They used everything against him. So they used all of his SEAL qualifications, all of his stuff, and they turned it on its head and they said, "Oh, well, he's like a flight risk. He could do this. He could evade. He could leave the country." And we were like, he has a family.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
not
he's
going
really
anywhere.
going to do
They
that.
literally
You know what I mean?
listed off everything that I had done in my military career, like all the schools I volunteered for, all, deployments, and, they're listening off. I'm like, okay. And they're like, this is why he's a danger.
And he needs
We
to be in
cannot
jail.
let him out. He's done all these things. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I did that for the betterment of the country
Right.
to do that. But they flipped the script and they're like, no, you're not getting out now.
A good fabricated story.
Yeah.
You know? That's what it's all
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And they put him in jail, and he was in jail 9.5 months before
That
his
is
trial.
absolutely crazy.
I mean, it happens in third world countries, but it happens here. And it's like people don't understand the differences, to your point, of like, okay, military justice and then also just the police. And obviously, when you have these specialties that operate under different rules and different, roles and responsibilities that are different from civilians do have a hard time understanding, like,
They do.
wait,
Yeah.
what? why would that be? Or, you know, even simplistic things. And I think it's hard enough on so many levels to get through this, but it is a lot of this, what you guys have been doing and that I've been seeing is just you're educating people too about the things that you're up against. So can you guys share with us some of the stuff, just like the quick bullet points of like the things that you think are going to be, like you said, you weren't able to even talk at trial about some of the deal breakers that are like, this is why this is ridiculous.
Well, you know, right here we have the Graham versus Connor, the Supreme Court ruling decision that breaks down the 4 points, and I'll let Drew speak, you know, to them. That again, they're his policy and procedures and laws of the state. But then you have Graham versus Connor, who talks about the 4 points that is legal, and that's what we're trying to do. Like you said, we're trying to educate the people on why, although this is tragic, why this is not, you know, a criminal situation. So,
yeah, it's not criminal at all. Everything he did, no policies or procedures were violated. This guy calls 911 on a fictitious call. There was no one ever breaking into his shed or his car. Nothing. Guy comes out, points a gun at police. They're justified in using deadly force, you know, and they do that, and everything's good. You're cleared. You go back to work, only to get indicted for what? And then you get an overcharge on reckless manslaughter that doesn't even fit.
No.
and then those points right there with Graham versus Connor, if you want to touch on them, that talk about again,
the reasonableness of an officer. You know, what would an officer do in this situation? You know, it was a reasonable. The guy pointing a gun, using deadly force. Sure, it's reasonable. You know, if this guy would have engaged them, would he have left the scene or possibility? You know, we didn't know. You don't know that's a replica. And even though it was a replica, moving parts, had bullets in the gun.
Right.
At night.
At night. You came in.
Conditions.
What he saw. My son came out, flashing with the flashlight, saw a gun. You know, the guy's refusing to drop the gun. How much time do you have to give somebody to drop a weapon? Nothing.
And refused multiple commands.
Right.
From
Engage
the first
him,
officer.
he
from
goes
your
down,
son.
he flips over. The guy's still in control of a firearm. Engages him again.
And
As he's moving forward, he tells him, stop. You know, he said, stop reaching. On body camera, the guy's still aggressively reaching for this gun. You know?
And that was the headlines, right? The headlines that the Attorney General put out was this veteran called 911 for help, and sadly that didn't happen. So now people are like, oh, this officer just pulled up 5 seconds, killed him. Well,
What?
he didn't tell the people in the article that he pointed a gun at the first officer, then pointed the gun at my son. You didn't tell the people that, he was previously suicidal. He had his real guns taken away from him.
Right.
Because he was so unstable. They don't tell the people that, if he was, again, military, oh, well, you shot him, why'd you have to shoot him again? He was down on the ground. Well, what, you can't shoot from the ground? Like, these are the facts that we fight for. You're still a threat. We don't point guns at police officers.
No.
And the first thing he's taught, I'm sure you know, in the military is you don't point a weapon unless you're prepared to use it
100%.
or prepared to be fired upon.
You don't pull that gun out unless you're taking somebody's life.
Right.
You're not doing it to wound or maim.
No.
But I also think that's another good point that they don't bring up either, is even after Sal did exactly what he was trained to do,
By the book.
to a T,
His training.
he then jumped on and tried to save that person's life.
So how's that reckless?
Yeah, it's like there's nothing reckless about what
Nothing.
he knew exactly what he was doing from point A all the
'Cause
way
he's a
to
professional.
Right.
point Z, whatever. And the fact that he was on there trying to save his life,
Exactly.
paramedics come, he's helping them out. He's within his right mind the whole time.
Yes.
But the problem is they put it in front of, they're supposed to be jury of your peers. They're not jury of your peers. One of the things when we were in court at one of the motions, because they tried to get our our expert thrown out. And then we just got a new toxicologist, because now the toxicologist, the medical examiner, works for the Attorney General's office, so he can only testify. He's not going to give us any more. He's not going to be able to explain anything because, he'll lose his job because now he works for the state.
Well, they threatened him. The AG came and says, if you give any statements to them, you'll be terminated.
Again, the
That's
correction.
extortion. You know?
Yeah.
And then he also tried to tell the chief, you need to back us in our statement because, I need you to back us. He's like, I'm not backing you. Like, his chief wouldn't back him because you're saying things that are untrue. This
Right.
Attorney General has everything that we have. He has all the evidence. I have evidence I can't even share with people in the public. You know, I could share with you
Is
off
there
camera.
a gag order on
No.
that?
No,
There's not.
no. We're going to give you.
There's not.
We're going to show you everything.
we
We'll give you the
didn't-
wife's statement. Even the wife and the husband. She had code words because he was so
her son.
unstable when the kid was with him, and the kid would call, give it the code word, and she would come get him. Because the
Wow.
dude was such a whack.
Now
Can you talk about the toxicology? What were the findings? What was he on? Is that what you're talking about?
So
Is he needs
there is-
to
High levels of methamphetamine, high levels of cocaine,
Wow.
other
prescription drugs.
high levels where, they said it probably would have killed an elephant. But he was such a user of it
Yeah.
that, he was good. Plus alcohol, the whole bit.
A lot of alcohol in his system. And the medical examiner's report even says, they say, the gun wasn't pointed at Salvatore. Well, if the gun wasn't pointed, how did Salvatore shoot him and the gun, damage the finger again?
The ME
Right.
gives an excellent statement in his notes.
It's crazy.
We'll give it to you. But pretty much, the guy pointed the gun at police. He came at the officer with a gun because how he was shot in the hand. You can't get it any other way.
There you go.
Even if it's down like this, you'll get hit. But the way, the injuries to his hand
All
shows the
signs
gun was
point
pointed.
to.
Yeah.
It's so
And they have all
black and
this,
white.
but they chose to just twist their narrative for his own.
It's relentless.
Agenda.
The lies and the fabrications and the stretching of the truth, which ultimately is like entrapped you guys in a horrible situation for many years.
And you said that he didn't. So the jury of his peers. What was his jury?
So they had the grand jury, which
Yeah.
is like
Okay.
made up of, I don't know if there was 19. It's always an
23,
odd number, but it's
23.
like 23 people. So the majority in a grand jury votes. But even if
But
if
the
this
first
goes
week
to
they bring
trial,
the grand jury in, they find nothing, right? They bring him back the next week, and the AG blows up these life-size photos from the body camera. But he skips photos. He only puts the photos he wants to show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, does he have a gun? You don't see no gun here, right? He's not pointing a gun at him. Oh, no, nothing. Oh, well, here's the charges. You pick the charges where you think that fits. And they come up with, I guess reckless manslaughter sounds good. And that's what they charge him with.
so if we're going to rely on grand juries, who don't know the ins and outs of a police officer's job or any
Right.
person that's being indicted, but why do we need detectives, investigators? We'll just let everyday people investigate.
Because the
It's
AG's
just
office says,
insane to think that
we
that's
don't make a
is.
determination on guilt or innocence. We don't make this determination. We leave it up to the grand jury to do that. You're the lead agency in the state of New Jersey. Of course, you make decisions on what's the
You investigated the scene. You have the evidence.
Yeah.
These people don't know.
what civilians know.
But then when you're
according to
twisting
you.
and corrupting the truth from the very beginning, there is no ability to get justice.
Right.
No.
Well,
And then we have to go to trial, and then you have 12 people that hopefully will follow the facts, not
Right.
the opinions.
Right.
And again, officers do not have to be perfect. They have to act reasonably
yeah,
with
objective
everyday things.
reasonableness.
If you, and we're not here saying that there aren't police officers who aren't corrupt or, police brutality. We're not here saying that. Every career, every job, there's always the good and the bad. We're not here defending them.
Because every job is filled with human beings.
It's correct.
Yeah.
You're
and that's what it
human.
comes down to. It's
Right.
like
And how you were brought up and the tragedies and the trauma you faced in your life. And, if you're a good person or whatever, that's common sense, right?
Right.
But now we have to rely on 12 people, and hopefully they're going to follow the facts. Or if you might get somebody that is a little bit more left or liberal, or someone who doesn't support police or had a bad encounter with police or defund the police.
Well, and I don't know how after all these years of the climate that we have, emboldened in this country, that it's just sad to see that, again, we have villainized our protectors.
We have.
For what reason? It doesn't make sense. I mean, the core of the people, like your son, like Salvatore, dedicated his entire life to protecting people. He still did the right thing, even in a horrific situation.
Correct.
And this is still like so hard to believe. And that's what we always were saying during our trial was like, people don't really want to believe that something like this can happen because it ignites fear in them.
Right.
because they look at a family like you, and frankly, it's a family business. You guys are service oriented.
Yeah.
You know, you're law enforcement. His family's military. You said you have military too. And it's like, they don't want to believe that this could happen to a good cop, a good family, but it
True believer.
happens all the time.
Well, they don't believe that the people you trust, your government officials, your legislators, that you don't believe that they would do this. They
Because
would do
it's
these
frightening.
frivolous indictments.
Right.
There's no way that doesn't happen. That's in the movies. That doesn't happen, but it is happening, and I do believe, and thank God, President Trump is back in,
Yeah.
and he's hopefully got all the right people supporting him, because I do feel the pendulum is swinging back. I do feel like, the hunters are now the hunted, because now it's coming back on them, and we are exposing all the unpleasant deeds that they've done to set these people up,
Right.
in the big and in the local.
Yes.
So we have to believe, and we pray that we will get a jury
Yes.
that will look at this, and
If this goes to
actually-
trial.
If
So
Yeah.
what
this
is
I'm
goes
still
the
not
next
convinced
steps?
this is
Let's
what
talk
we're
about
doing.
Yeah,
that.
keep
Where
that
are you
on
at
the
in the
trial.
Next step.
process? In the process to
Oh, it's continued again. It's been continued for the last 2.5 years. And we have a toxicologist report, and I'm sure they're going to contest something in there. So it'll probably drag out. We probably won't, if it does go to trial, probably sometime next year.
really
Maybe.
2026.
Yes.
because that's what happened with our use of force. We have an excellent use of force expert, Stevie Nolan,
Yeah,
with
the best.
so many qualifications. And we had to turn the report into them last July. And they had the report, and then we had an October court date. Well, right before the court date, they decided to file a motion to have him disqualified.
Oh my.
So now you're in
The games.
October.
These are the
Games.
games.
These
they
are the
play.
games,
Yeah.
right? These are the delays. So now we were hoping to get a trial date last October. Because, listen, if you think, bring it. Bring it. Let's
That's what
go.
we
That
were
is-
saying.
So that is a key piece of information right there. Like, the more they extend it,
Yep.
they know, they don't have a case,
Right.
obviously,
Right.
which is why they are just going to try and beat you down
They
with
wanna
legal
bankrupt
paperwork
them.
and bankrupt you
That's
and do
what
whatever
they
they
want
can.
to do.
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
it is. They did the same thing to me because I was requesting speedy trial from the
the
moment I
get-go.
got locked up.
Right.
I was like, I want to go to trial tomorrow, and my lawyers were like, okay, well, you can request a speedy trial. That gives a prosecution, I think it was 60 days. It might have been, I think it was 60. They have, the moment you request speedy trial, they have 60 days to present their case, and you'll go to trial. What they do is, and these are the games, they wait till day 59. They're like,
Right.
well, now we want to put in
Exactly what they
a
did.
psychiatric evaluation on him because we don't think that, so that now extends another 60 days.
That's right.
And they'll just find ways to keep extending it because they don't have a case. They know if they went to trial right away, it would have been done.
The punishment is the process, right?
100%.
Yes.
That's what it is. And they either want you to bankrupt you or get you to the point where you take your own life. And then we made an example. And that's not going to happen.
No.
Right.
We're not allowing that to happen. I tell my son all the time, you got to stay in the mindset.
That's right.
This is what they want. They don't think about you on a day to day because they're off doing more corruption
That's
and things
so
like
true.
that. But now the hindsight, and I say to him, see, Salvatore, it's God's timing because
Yeah.
now look at what's coming out about that office.
It's so true.
Now you have senators along with, I think it was the NAACP, who were put a letter into a lawyer, and the lawyer sent it to Plankton about they want the OPIA to have an independent monitor overlooking these cases
Wow.
of all the corruption. So I said, look at it. You can see it now.
Truth is coming out.
I'm telling you, every week there's an article about the OPIA, Matt Plankton. You could just go on his X and look at his statements and then click on it and look at the comments. People can see through this bull crap.
And we have
now,
to start
you know?
removing these people from power. We have to actively fight. And that's one of the things that we've both been so adamant about is these corrupt people climb the ladder of power. And then, you guys have obviously been involved, but there's multiple families, like you're saying, in the New Jersey area that have literally had their lives put on hold because of this person who's trying to climb to the next rung of the ladder. And you're like, how does this happen in our country where these people can continue, on that path?
I think we've lost our sense of morality in this country as well. People,
Oh, yeah.
like you said, we've taken God out of everything. You can't do Pledge of Allegiance. You can't speak of this, but we could speak of this. And it's happened slowly. We've been brainwashed, And it's happened slowly that it's so normal and natural to say, oh, cops are bad. You know, and you could see it, like I said, in that statement. It wasn't, well, you know, let's look at the facts, let's investigate the case. No, we're going to look at a 5-second clip because that's the clickbait that's going to get the people to say, look, see, he did something wrong. Oh, yeah, everybody did. Of course you're going to defend cops. Well, if they're doing their job, anybody should be defended if they're doing the right thing.
Right. Exactly.
If this shooting was so bad, he would have been arrested immediately
100%.
immediately after the investigation.
Right.
If your evidence is so good, you don't need a grand jury.
No.
You know, just like Eddie said, let's go to trial. We want to go to trial immediately. Let's bring us to trial. You think your evidence so good? Let's do this. And they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, they drug it on. Our expert, Stevie Nolan, he forgot more than these people will ever know.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
And you're going to try to say he's not qualified? The judge laughed in their face. He goes, he's more than qualified, you know?
So now we go back to court. So we had, in July, they had to turn in the new toxicology report, which we did.
Okay.
So the prosecution asked for a little extension because they needed more time to go over it, which is code for let's see what parts we could try and pick and throw out. So now we go back to court September 8th.
Okay.
So either they're going to accept the use the toxicology report and hopefully start going to pretrial motions,
Okay.
or they're going to try to get motions in to argue what should stay in and stay out in the toxicology report and then bring in. So, again,
It's the process.
it's the process.
This is for us.
Especially, when they start doing the motions, it's like, here we go. And that just extends it out. And half of it is like that. The process needs to be that way because if it wasn't, you'd get screwed even more. Because I remember my lawyers would be like, all right, well, now we have to extend this because we got to file a motion to expose the prosecution for what they're doing. And that's going to take another month. And obviously that's super frustrating, but it has to happen that way. Otherwise, it's like then they would just continue on with what they're doing. And I know it's frustrating, and I know Sal has to be just like, at his wit's end at times, man. And
It's rough.
yeah, and
It's really
the
hard.
thing, the quote that I always say, and that's what we got out of our case, is like, this pain will serve you well someday.
Yeah.
He has to let him, just keep telling himself that no matter what you're going through right now, this is bigger than Sal. It's bigger than you guys. I mean, this is what and like you said, what you're exposing just fighting for him right now. I mean, that wouldn't happen if this wasn't happening to Sal.
Right.
And
It's true.
Yeah.
and that's a big thing that he has to wrap his mind around. I had a hard time wrapping my mind around it. It's like, this isn't about you. This is about something bigger than you. And this is why it's so important to keep fighting. And then I would say also the one thing that helped us get through is, you mentioned before, like these people, the comments and like the negativity and all that stuff. Maintain the high ground.
Yeah, I
at all
have to
times.
tune them out
That's-
because
you don't
they
get
don't
get
know.
in the weeds with that. Don't start slinging mud back and forth because those people don't know what the hell
And
they're
they
talking
don't.
about.
They don't.
They don't. I mean, people are so spread thin, as you guys know. And so, again, they're reading a sentence and making a judgment because that's human nature, right? They just want to stay in that mode of like, well, that sounds like a horrible problem to have.
Yeah,
And
bad cops. Bad cops
yeah,
are-
and that's what we went through. And I would think to myself, I'm like, you guys, just like us as a family, were, chosen and called to go through this. It's never something that we wanted. It's not something that you guys want, but it's been our absolute honor to take what we have gone through. And then we're 5 years into the nonprofit, and we do get to know families in the most horrific time of their lives. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way that it works because of the business that we're in, is helping people in these traumatic situations. And we just could not be more proud of both of you.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
example. You guys are upstanding people in not only your own communities and your line of work, but Sal is as well. And we're not going to let this be swept under the rug. We're going to keep fighting alongside of you guys. And it's just an honor and a privilege. And we know that God used our worst time of our lives so that we could be here to help and support you guys. And
And we greatly
and that's what
appreciate
we're going to
it.
do
Thanks so
once
much.
we get
Exactly.
past
Brother.
this.
Yeah, I
We're
mean,
gonna- we're
you
gonna
got to continue to pay it
case like
forward.
Sal's is exactly why we started the foundation.
It is 100%.
Just like what you were talking about before with the process, and like they keep extending, and Now it's going to be next year. And that is why we started the foundation as well, is because we know during this whole process how crazy and stressful it is and how they try to drain you of everything. And that's why we step in and we try to, to provide whatever you guys need during that time to keep you going in that fight. Because it takes a village.
We appreciate it because we were finally able to get some help with funding from you and then this other association, which I happened just to find by accident early in the spring, the National Coalition of Police Defense. Bert Eiler, he stepped up and he started helping too. So it's like,
there are good people out there.
Finally, there are good people, and
That's right.
there are people, and hopefully this puts people on notice. Like, yes, we should be stepping up and helping a little bit more, and doing our part, and changing the bad to the good.
Right.
But we're going to keep going, and we're going to keep fighting, and we could sleep a little bit better knowing that we have you guys behind us and some funding for Sal and the people that donate it. Thank you.
Yes.
We can't thank you enough. There's not enough words
and
to
for
say
people listening to this right now, after hearing this story, and if you feel compelled to do so, you can go on the pipehitterfoundation.org. We have Sal up on there, and you can click on his face and then donate to the cause. And please do so if you feel compelled to, because the only rights that you have are the ones that you can afford, and that is the God's to honest truth. And so all that money is going to the right place.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for coming.
Thank you for having
Thanks.
us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for
Hopefully
having
next
us.
time we see you,
We'll
we're
be
gonna
celebrating.
Yeah, we'll have Sal with you
Sal
too.
with us,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah.
get Sal
Come down
on
our
here.
way and we'll have a big party and we'll celebrate
Oh, we
together.
would
Any
love
excuse
that.
to come back up
Yes.
to Jersey for
Yes.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. It's
Jersey
due.
born
And to Philly.
boy right here.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
thanks again, guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks.
Out. Hey, what's up, guys? So, as you know, when I'm not podcasting, I'm doing a lot of instructing shooting courses, whether it's from basic to advanced. And the one product I love to see people bring to the range is a suppressor for obvious reasons, because when you shoot, you want to shoot like a gentleman. And over the course of my career and also while instructing, I have got to shoot a multitude of different suppressors, and there's only one that I really love that I stick with, and that is elevated silence. I've been shooting that now for over a couple years. There is very little to no blowback. It's definitely one of the quietest suppressors out there, and believe me, I put it to the test. They are made to last. So whether you're a seasoned shooter or new to the game, Elevated Silence has a suppressor to match your needs. Their commitment to quality ensures that each product enhances your shooting sessions, making them more enjoyable and memorable. If you are looking to pick up a suppressor, go to elevatedsilence.com. Thank you, and God bless.